Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am going to share a short PowerPoint presentation to give you some background knowledge on The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street to help you with your first lesson in ingenuity. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. So here it goes. So Kamarius, Anaya, and Keon, you did come on at the very end when we were finishing up our predicting lesson on Nearpod. So as we begin our PowerPoint presentation and we read the title of this PowerPoint and of your first lesson, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, what type of prediction can you make based off of the title currently that's on the screen and the picture that you see in the graphic? What is the prediction that you can make? What is this going to be about? Anyone? What do you guys think The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street is going to be about?
Um, uh, I think that this the monsters of dawn shit about like it's people like a little group of people or whatever looking for monsters on Maple Street or Maple Street, I guess.
Yes, Anaya, that's a great prediction. That is a great prediction. I do not blame you. Very good, Anaya. Kamarius, you got another prediction? You shouldn't be, and no one should be shy because look, it's just a small group of us here today. But Anaya, you started off with a great prediction. So I'm going to move right along so I am not holding us back here. Here are some of the standards that we're going to go over. We're going to cite textual evidence that most strongly support an analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text, determine a theme of a text and analyze its development, determine a theme or a central idea, and cite several pieces of textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly. So these are some of the standards that we are going to cover throughout this presentation. So there are weapons that are simply thoughts, attitudes, prejudice to be found only in the midst of men. This is from Rod Serling. He is the creator of the Twilight Zone, which The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street is an episode that has been taken from the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone was a television series that was aired in the early 1950s. It was like a suspense sci-fi drama that they aired on television and on the radio. So we're going to go over, before we get started, I want to ask you guys a few anticipation questions so we can get an idea of what The Monsters Are Doing on Maple Street may be about. Do you guys think aliens exist in outer space? Agree or disagree? There's no right or wrong answer.
I disagree.
Disagree.
I'm not even.
You agree? Where's my where are my reactions? You can put your reaction like, do you, with a thumbs up, thumbs down. This one for me, I will say I got my thumbs up. I put agree. What about the rest of you guys?
I disagree.
You disagree, Anaya?
Yeah, I don't believe in aliens.
Keon, Kamarius, what do you guys think about? Do you think aliens exist in outer space? Anaya disagree and I agree. Anaya, even though you watch sci-fi movies, you think it's just still all make believe, huh?
Yeah, cause it's fiction, and they making their own alien and jump with the little special effects and stuff like that. So I don't think it's.
Okay. So people act differently in a crowd or mob. Do you feel that people act differently when they're in a crowd or in a mob?
I agree.
I agree with that as well. You're absolutely right, and I agree with you. I do feel that people act differently when they're amongst a lot of people. Absolutely, absolutely. Fear brings out the worst in people. Agree or disagree? I agree.
I don't understand what your question mean, but I feel like fear brings like where it's like you start acting crazy just because like you trying to like I don't know how to explain it.
So when we were
But
talking
then
about fear brings out the worst in people, when someone is afraid of something or they may be unsure of it or uncertain, it kind of it brings out the worst side of them, the worst characteristic. They start to act um, in the worst way. So do you feel that when people are not sure of certain things, it brings out the worst side of them? It brings out the worst of them.
I agree.
I definitely do, because sometimes when you're not sure of it, um, it can definitely bring out some horrible characteristics in people, and they can start acting with the way that they usually don't act. And the suburbs are the safest place to live. Are you guys familiar with the suburbs?
Yeah.
So do you feel the suburbs or the city is the safest place to live? Which do you think?
I don't live in the suburbs, but I think it's a safer place to live.
You think it's the safest place to live? uh, Depending on what city you're in, right? Depending on what city you're in, I'm like kind of in between. I'm in between that one. I'm in between. So let me fill you guys and give you a little background history on what is the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone was a TV series that aired between 1959 and 1964. It was created by Rod Serling. Episodes were of the fantasy, sci-fi, suspense genre, often concluding with a macabre, unexpected twist. Then the Twilight series were always on television. People will be glued to their television set because they were very intense, and they had a sense of when you watched Twilight series, as you will see in The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, they always had an unexpected twist to them. You really could never truly predict what was going to happen in the end of the series. So they were always exciting and intriguing to watch. And so as you're going to read this teleplay, and I'm also going to drop the link in the chat at the end of this, at the end of our mini lesson right here, for the YouTube version of the teleplay, because some of us may be audio learners as opposed to um, as opposed to reading. You learn better by listening. So auditory learners, I am dropping the link in the chat at the end to help you with your lesson. So those of us that are missing this lesson right now, please reach out to me if you would like that link as well. So here are some teleplay terms when you're reading the script. You have the teleplay, which is a script for television, and you have the fade in, which is picture fades into the screen. Pan, camera moves all over to show the whole picture. Fade to black, picture fades to black or disappears. cut to, sudden change of picture, close up, camera shot really close, opening shot equals first shot, long shot, camera shot far away, dissolve, picture fading into another picture. And some of these terms are definitely right in your ingenuity, in your ingenuity lesson. I'm just going over these briefly with you. So the setting of the monsters are due on Maple Street. This is where the story takes place. It's Maple Street, USA, a tree-lined, perfect suburban neighborhood. The time is a late summer afternoon, summer evening. So we have foreshadowing. We have foreshadowing. Does anyone remember what foreshadowing is? Do you remember when you have foreshadowing? Because you see it all the time in movies. You should be able to know what foreshadowing. Anaya?
Okay. So, foreshadowing is like something like they making like hints and stuff that something to happen, like something exciting finna happen, or like I don't know. But like an example is, say for instance you reading a book and you're really interested in this book and you wait on something to happen and they might hint that it's gonna happen and you gotta catch that hint so you know
Yes,
what's gonna happen.
yes, Anaya. Excellent job. Woo-hoo! You're absolutely right. The foreshadowing is giving you hint that something's going to occur later on in the story, just like how you stated. You're absolutely right. Have you ever seen watching a movie, and at the beginning of the movie, it may open up to a scene, but however, that scene happens at the end of the movie. So you got to watch the whole entire movie to see how that scene, how we end up to the very opening scene. So it gives us a hint. Okay, this is how it's going to end. But we got to figure out how we're going to get there. You're absolutely right. So in the foreshadowing in The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, the narrator says at the beginning of the play that the monsters came to Maple Street. So this is an example of foreshadowing, a hint of something that's going to occur later in the story. So it's already telling us, okay, there's going to be monsters that came to Maple Street, that some type of monster, whatever type of monster in your mind, because you have to use your imagination. They're not going to be descriptive as to describing these monsters. That's where your imagination and your prediction comes into play when you're reading this and when you're listening to this story as well. So I just want to give you a few pre-reading vocabulary, and then we're going to wrap it up to give you guys an opportunity to read and to also listen to The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. And then we're going to discuss it at our next mini lesson. So hopefully you guys would have finished it by the next time I see you guys. So metamorphosis is to change, to transform. You know, we have a little picture on the screen. What is this a picture of? What's this a picture of?
A caterpillar and a butterfly.
Yes, because the butterfly usually starts out as a caterpillar and it metamorphosizes into the butterfly. You're absolutely right. Excellent job. Scapegoat. A scapegoat is to blame someone for the mistake or crimes of others. Something happened, they're putting the blame on someone else as opposed to the person that actually created, that actually did the crime or did the mistake, so on and so forth. So the other person is going to be taking the blame for it. That's a scapegoat. Then we have, what else do we have? Insomnia, inability to sleep. Inability to sleep. Have you guys ever experienced insomnia?
No, I don't know about that.
I have. Like when you cannot sleep, you cannot fall asleep. You're up all night long. That is insomnia. You cannot fall asleep.
I stay up a long time, but I still go to sleep.
But
At like
you
an
eventually
hour.
fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to take anything to fall asleep because you fall asleep. I know. Having insomnia is that you can stay up for days and days and days on end. So idiosyncrasy is a peculiar habit or behavior, something that you do out of just out of not that's not co that doesn't coincide with your particular character. It's just out of character for you. Is something of idiosyncrasy. Defiant, when someone boldly disobedient, they are defiant. So with that being said, we went over some of the vocabulary words. We went over some of the vocabulary words for the monsters are due on Maple Street. And you guys also have this in your lesson. So what I want you guys to do, I want you to go through the lesson for the monsters are due on Maple Street if you have not done so. And if you have not finished, I have, if you look in the chat, I just placed the link for the YouTube version, because when you're listening to the YouTube version of The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, you can actually hear the characters as they are acting out their roles. So you can listen and you can get the effects of what is actually happening, and you will be able to better understand the assignment if you're listening to how it's acting out, as opposed to you may not understand it when you are reading it, but you may have a better understanding once you are listening to it. So I definitely think that will help you with this assignment. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anaya. So I'm so glad I'm getting the feedback. I definitely appreciate the feedback. So guys, let me know, was this very useful for you? Was this helpful to you in any way?
Yes.
Thank you, Anaya. Well, I am definitely so thrilled that you guys were able to show up today. And I made a note that Kamarius showed up, Anaya showed up, and Keon showed up. And I will definitely be sending out a huge shout out to you guys so that I can thank you, tell your parents that you guys showed up to our mini lesson. And I definitely appreciate your participation. And I will send you guys this video recording, and I'm going to send it out to everyone as well. And so please be on the lookout for another mini lesson. I have office hours every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then again in the afternoon from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So anytime you need assistance, please do reach out so you don't get stuck and you don't want to fall too far behind, and then you can't catch up. It's like you're rushing to catch up and then you're making all these mistakes. So please reach out to me so that I can assist you so that you can pass your language arts successfully. Do you guys have any questions before we leave?
No, I'm straight.
Well, thank you, Anaya. I so appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Keon. Thank you, Kamarius. I'll see you guys later, and you have a wonderful afternoon.